well, I have said things to myself like, you paint until you, how is it? Art is the search for a form that satisfies. I mean, that's what I say to myself. I mean, I have an impulse to make something, and I don't know what it is until it's satisfying. A lot of the show, not a lot, about 20% of the images from the show, oh, sorry, they're little portraits of friends. I'm glad you can edit this, otherwise it would be very boring. That's the problem with life, is it goes slower than you think until it's too fast. So, my friend Tina, let me see if I can pull up. This is my father. I've never made, I've done quite a number of things about my mother, but very few of my father. So I decided I have to do something, since the show is called Love in the 8th Decade. And it's about what love is when you're 74 years old. So, some of these But it also is just, every time you do a portrait, especially these little mini ones, you just realize, and you put them up on a wall and you look at them, just each person is so miraculous, so beautiful, so special, and that it just becomes impressive by itself. They're people, not everybody's a close friend. Some of them are just people who have had a big impact on me. Colleagues, siblings. And George and Jesse both, but George has had a big impact on me because he brought me to the gallery and gave me a way to be an artist. I'm not in school anymore. So anyway, there are going to be like 27 of these little portraits. There's a, when I was in college in the 70s, in my 20s, I wrote an undergraduate thesis for English literature, and one of the two, there were two poets that I focused on. One was T.S. Eliot and the other was Wallace Stevens. My last show was all about T.S. Eliot. This show is about Wallace Stevens, and just one quote of his, which is, "Death is the mother of beauty." I have imagined putting all of these on the wall and having all these people smile at me long after I've forgotten who they are. But they're all so loving. Paintings from different sections of my life. Oh, there's some upstairs on the wall. But there's my son when he was 4, coloring on the porch. That was 38 years ago. And here he is. Ah, no, don't stick. Go back. Oh, I see. I really should swear. There he is doing sidewalk chalk. And then, and there's a third one. And then there are, with his wife and son. And that's Vivian Gabo. It's called Nap Discussion. It's just such a toasty picture. You know, it's so warm. Bob in bed reading, which is what he does. And that was the first one of this series, actually. And in the next room, I can show you some more. And that's my friends Kevin and Elena, both of whom have a portrait. And Ben when he's about 10. We were on a trip together in Colorado. But then I decided to put it in the... So I turned it into a painting, which is not done. It's like, I don't know, 80%. It needs more connection between the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So I'm going to bring some more warm colors into this cool water, extend the rocks aside, make a golden line of light that comes down, washes over them, and then sweeps back around that side. And that's a photo. So there's a photo I took in 2017, 2018. Our grandson is in the baby carriage, and then I did the drawing. And I find the drawing just incredibly emotional. I mean, I found that when I was looking at it, there's just something about Ben. He looks so tired, and it's very characteristic of him sort of in repose. But this one, it's like, there's something so demanding about that baby carriage. You know, it's right in their faces, and you have to deal with me. And they're tired, and you may not be able to see this, but there's a figure, and it's actually perfect in the armature of a golden rectangle. This is one of the key lines that goes from the center to the center, and that head, that's me taking the photograph. It's in there. And then this is their reflection, and the woman in back. So you got a lot of sort of layers going on here. I don't know if I can pull it off. We'll see. I painted a little bit outside of college. And then I got frustrated because I didn't have the skills to make the art that I wanted to make. There was no Gage Academy in the 70s. And so I switched to quilts. And I remember telling myself that the world does not need another mediocre painting. But nobody objects to a quilt. And that was the role of folk art. I mean, it's just like this useful thing that even if it may not be gorgeous or perfectly made, it'll keep you warm. And so that's how I did 20 years of quilts. And then I found Gage Academy, and I learned to draw and paint, and I could have stayed in art school forever because I was so happy there. When I start painting, say I get down in the morning and put my headphones on, put my Spotify on, and listen to jazz or I really like Middle Eastern jazz lately. Anyway, I listen to that and I zone out and I just mix colors for half an hour. And that is almost my favorite thing to do. And many of those colors I will use, but not all of them. I'm not that, because usually I'll make a whole tray full of them, and then there will be like 2 that I find myself using over and over again because they are the correct value. They're exactly right in that spot. But I can never predict which color it's going to be. And then at the end, I smush them all together and put them off to the side, so some of those colors will show up again. So, you know, what is the image that goes on the postcard? I don't know yet. This is a candidate. The front is the house in 1982. And we had a vegetable garden in the front yard. It was like, we were, I was 30, Bob was 33, I guess. And that's a portrait of my mother and my sister's dog that I did and it won Best of Show. And the judge at Gage Academy, and the judge was Greg Crucera, so I was very, very proud of that. And George Brandt, who's come over a couple times, he says, this has to be in the show. And I said, but I've already exhibited it. It's 8 years old. I mean, it doesn't, he goes, doesn't matter. He wants it in the show. So anyway, where do I want them to be? I am so happy when somebody buys something, lays out their cold hard cash that they earned to take home a piece of art. That's not, even if it's, my prices are affordable for art, it's still a significant amount of money. And they put it on their wall and they show it to their friends. And I'm particularly excited when it's somebody who is not a close friend. Is not doing it to be supportive. They came to the show because they knew who I was. They went to college with me or saw it in the alumni magazine, and then they bought a piece. There was only one piece like that where they just wanted that painting. So that's the sign of putting something out in the world that the world wants. So my first show was still lives, and my second show were geese, quilts. Mm-hmm. And I knew I wanted to do something figurative with humans, because that's a large part of what I've done over the years. And often, the portrait of Bob, the portrait of my mom, just a number of self-portraits, none of which can I bear to look at. But they were good exercises because they were from life. I was looking in the mirror. But I also, ever since I turned 70, I've been very impressed with the fact that I am 70. I mean, it just surprises me all the time, because I feel like I'm 45, and I've heard lots of people say this. You're not prepared for the physical weakening and the loss of memory, short-term memory, and the fact that, and this is what I said in my artist statement, death is taking more and more of the people around me. Not anyone super close to me, but in my ken. And so you're just aware of death a lot more. And the point of the show is that love when you're 70 is different than love when you're 20. Because it's darkened by this awareness of death. And so the portraits are the mini portraits of people who mean things to me. And I started out just, people that I really love, but that had really good photos of, and I just thought they'd make a good painting. So I did those, and then I realized